We did it, everybody. It is the weekend. Another episode of Friday Night SmackDown is in the books. That means your boy, Rick Ucchino and Denise, I Hate Christmas Salcedo, is in the house tonight, ready for another good time here until 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we got an hour to run down what was a pretty jam-packed show. I do have some things that I got to get off my chest about some certain things, but Denise, I'll let you hop in here and get your overall thoughts on the show tonight. You didn't think last week's was good. Did this week deliver more than the previous week?
I gotta say that SmackDown this week delivered more than the past, I would say, 2 weeks or so. I thought that this was a pretty interesting SmackDown. And I gotta say, the highlight of the show was definitely 2 words. And those 2 words are Roman Reigns.
Well, yes, hands down. And he has been. He's been the best thing to watch, not just on SmackDown, but in all of WWE, pretty much since he came back at SummerSlam, and he delivered again tonight. Another up and down show of emotions out of Roman Reigns tonight, and the tough love that we saw on Jey Uso again tonight to close out the show was fantastic. And then he turns his attention to Kevin Owens and just cuts this emotional, almost like sinister whispering just to an unconscious KO, like, I'm gonna make you and your family now pay for this. Like, he made it so personal because Kevin Owens made it personal. He said, look, you're trying to split up my family. You could have just come after the title. That's one thing, but you're trying to split up my family. And now Roman Reigns is going, all right, you want to play that game? Well, 2 can play that as well.
I think if we learned anything at all about Roman Reigns is that if somebody can go a certain place, can hit below the belt, you know that Roman Reigns is going to go even lower than that. And we saw examples of that both at the top of SmackDown today and, closing out the segment with what you just mentioned. I mean, I lost track of time today because I was watching SmackDown. I was like, man, Roman Reigns is really giving it to Kevin Owens right now. It's like he's really getting in him and, trying to take away his man card there. And that was one of the things that I thought was, one of the highlights.
Yeah. And Jey Uso again played a really good role tonight as well. This whole angle that he's now on, what are you knocking stuff down over there?
No, I forgot. I was at 15% on my laptop and I didn't have the thing connected. And I was like, oh my
God. Yeah. We want you to be here for the entirety of the show.
Exactly.
Everybody who's tuned in right now, all 96, 94 people, whatever it is, they ain't here to see me. They're here to see Denise Hollywood Salcedo. But yeah, no, I think Jey Uso played a really, really good role tonight. This angle that he's on where he's trying his hardest to please Roman Reigns and nothing he does is good enough. It's like that kid who spends his entire life trying to get his dad to say he's proud of him. And it just never happens. And even tonight, Jey opens up the show by being, overzealous and says, yeah, of course he accepts KO's challenge because he's a big dog. He's the best. And then Roman Reigns backstage said, all right, you know what? That's fine. I don't back down from a challenge, but you overstepped and there will be consequences. I thought the consequences was going to be him being left high and dry to start that match tonight. And then Roman just whooped his you-know-what at the end of the night.
And here's the thing is that you mentioned, this example of, a son trying to get the approval from his dad or something. And this is why I think the storyline is relatable in the sense where when we come into play with Jey Uso is that I think we've all been in that situation at some point in our lives where we always want that there's always that one person or a group of people that we want approval from. And I think it's just part of human nature where like you're willing to like do anything and to like get that approval or that validation from somebody. And so that is something that we're seeing in the Jey Uso Roman Reigns storyline aspect of it. And it's coming across as even though, we're not smashing people with chairs or, steel or anything like that. But at the same time, it's something that I think people can relate to.
Right. And even when Roman Reigns gives Jey Uso some credit, it's a backhanded compliment. Like tonight, he said the Usos, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And he's not taking that away from him. But then said, before he aligned himself with me, though, look at what he's doing now. And what he's doing over the last 6 weeks or so is better than anything he's ever done in his career to this point. So even when he gives him credit, it's just that backhanded slap it's an insult attached to a compliment, and it's all working right now. Those two are firing in all cylinders. There was something that did happen to kick off the show that you really liked that I didn't, and I want to get into that as well. Feel free again, guys, to get your comments in throughout the night. Jose saying what's up, Ozzy saying what's up. We appreciate all you guys. Paul, rest in peace, Pat Patterson. Yes, that was devastating news this week, and it was really nice to see them, pretty much dedicate this entire show. They had multiple segments dedicated to Pat Patterson tonight. Plus, they had the memorial matchup with 6 current and former Intercontinental champions, and we'll get to that as it's coming up as well. So get your comments in, guys. We'll go through them throughout the night. I don't know what this means. Rob says he loves Denise's TikTok.
Oh my God. Did you go back and watch my TikToks? They're so bad. I haven't done very many TikToks very often. I used to do them a lot, but they're very embarrassing.
Yeah, I didn't even, he must have, because I didn't even know that you had a TikTok.
I have an over 100K account on TikTok.
You have probably more followers on TikTok than I do on Twitter, probably.
No, I have more followers on TikTok than I do on any social media app, but I just lost interest.
Fair enough. I get that. By the way, if you want to follow us on social media, our names are right there, at Rick Ucchino, spelled as you see, and at _ Denise Salcedo. If you follow us, by the way, you will be among the first people to know when we do really cool stuff. And both Denise and I got to do some really cool stuff this week. Denise got to talk to Shotzi Blackheart this week ahead of War Games this weekend. That had to be a fun conversation, Denise.
Yeah, I talked to her, and she is so awesome. And here's the thing is that we talked about NXT TakeOver War Games, but we also talked about her time in WWE. I mean, she just recently signed last year, so there's only been, so much that she has been able to do. But we also learned a lot of fun facts about her, which is one of my favorite things. And then I also did a Q&A with Titus O'Neil, which was really fun too. So a lot of cool stuff up on youtube.com/Denise Salcedo.
Absolutely. And I had the opportunity to sit down this week with one of my favorite stars and somebody I've been wanting to talk to all year, Montez Ford. He's going to be part of Tribute to the Troops this weekend, which is a big thing for him as a former Marine. He spent 4 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. So he talked about, this is a big full circle moment for him to get to be a part of Tribute to the Troops. Also talked about his love for Kofi Kingston. And yes, I kind of buttered him up a little bit talking about, how much hope and hype there is. It's not just me. It's not just me out there who thinks that this guy could be a future world champion. That narrative is starting to pop up more and more and more. And I brought it up to him. He had a very interesting and humble response to that. Part 1 is up now on the SK YouTube channel, and part 2, I've been told, will drop within the next 5 minutes or so. So pump the brakes on that. Let's continue to watch.
Did you ask him about his frog splash?
I did, actually.
Ooh, I want to hear about that.
I did ask him about the frog splash. So that, I believe that was the first question I even asked. So that was right out of the gate. That'll be part of part 2, though, just the way that the video team decided to put it up. I don't know, but that's coming out in about 5 minutes or so. But make sure to watch all of Smack Talk, and then go watch both parts of my conversation with Montez Ford, and then go over to Denise's YouTube page and watch her interview with Shotzi Blackheart and Titus O'Neil as well. And make sure to follow us on social media too, because that way you guys know when we're going to be doing some really, really cool stuff, and hopefully we'll both have more cool stuff before the year is out. The year is not done, Denise. We got
it almost is though, Rick. How many more SmackDowns do we have left? 3?
You got 3. I think I might have 1.
3. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Baby on the way.
Maybe 2 due any day now. Literally any day now. So I may not be here next week. Who knows? We'll see. But
well, that's exciting.
Yeah, just keep cooking, kid. Anyway, make sure everything's good. So again, get your comments in guys. Rob says he's going to drop me a follow. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. Jake Larson says it's always going to be Hollywood Denise Salcedo to us. That is like for those of you who don't know, that's like your alter ego, right? Like you and Sean Rossap are always at each other's throats, and when you go like just all preppy or whatever, you turn into Hollywood Salcedo.
Hollywood Salcedo is not my alter ego. It's my true identity.
Oh, okay. So we get the sweet and nice Salcedo over here, and then you give all the crap to Ross Sapp. Is that pretty much?
No, you're getting like the pre-version. Like it takes me a while to show my full psycho self. Like I'm still new to sports, Kita, so I don't want to let the craziness out. When you're dating someone, you don't show your crazy self. You got to wait a little bit. You got to make them fall in love. Then you act all crazy.
Right. Put the ring on it first.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. My wife had no idea what she was getting into.
Wait, so you're the crazy one in the relationship or your wife?
Oh, I am. I'm the crazy one. Yeah, no, I married an angel, and every day I wake up wondering what the hell I did to trick her into marrying me. She chose a life of slumming it. God love her. Anyway, so let's get to the beginning of the program here again. We talked about a lot of what Roman Reigns and Jey Uso did tonight, but there was something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way tonight. And Denise, you said on Twitter that you actually liked this segment. And it was the whole interview process with Kayla Braxton, where literally Roman Reigns just crapped all over her for asking legitimate questions. And just this is a long continued pattern. This isn't the first time the WWE has done this, but they just have a long history of just crapping on their journalists and their backstage interviewers. And now more than ever, and maybe I just have a unique take on this because I am a journalist full time. I am a news anchor, and there's been so much real world hate on journalists in 2020. I really don't need to see it on SmackDown. It just rubbed me personally the wrong way. And, Kayla doesn't deserve that crap. And moreover, nobody came to back her up. Nobody, not even when Kevin Owens came out, did he say, hey, stop dogging Kayla because she's awesome. That's all I needed. That's all I needed was somebody to stand up for Kayla, and nobody did it.
Okay, so here we go. Let's break this down. So first of all right. So I'm going to start off with the fact that I agree with you in the sense that WWE is always, like you said, crapping on their, reporters or their backstage journalists and all of this and, always making fun of their questions. It's something that's very easy for the heels to do, right? Yeah. And yeah, I get what you mean. Sometimes it's just like, all right, can we just have it? We know that this isn't really how it happens, when a sideline reporter goes up and asks somebody, a player a question. No, you're going to get a respectful response and a respectful exchange between the two. So I do agree with you in that sense completely. However, I think with the Roman Reigns, Kayla Braxton situation, the reason why it worked was because let's say this was the first time this had ever happened, or let's say it was just a rare occurrence. I think that it wouldn't have came across that way to you. It might have just been dude, what the hell? Roman Reigns is really nailing it because he is not just like that. He hasn't just been like that with Kayla Braxton. He's been like that with pretty much everybody because this is, the new Roman Reigns, this new, evil heel and all of that. So I think that in that sense, that's the way that it came across versus instead of how it usually comes across when they make fun of, the reporters backstage asking dumb questions or whatever. And the other reason why it worked was that in the end, when Kevin Owens came out and Roman Reigns had the whole oh, we have a lady in the ring situation, he's now sort of, coming to her honor, you can say, or, protecting her honor, whatever you want to call that. But prior to that, 5 minutes before that, he was just, talking her down and making her feel awful. So that's why I thought that it worked because he was such an ass in the beginning, right? And then the second portion, he's like, oh, well, there's a lady here and we got to respect her. And that is so manipulative and so mean. And that is what's making the Roman Reigns.
Does Roman Reigns look like somebody who manipulates to you?
And second fact, I've interviewed Roman Reigns and,
Oh, name drop.
Yeah, exactly. And let's just say I did not have a Kayla Braxton experience. Okay. So that's why for me, it's okay, it's wrestling. I'm not going to compare it to what's happening in the real life. I don't like to compare what I see in wrestling to what's happening in the real life. I just don't see it that way. I'm yeah, I agree with you. Media has been treated awfully this year. We all saw the horrible videos during the riots. We all saw that. But then this is a different situation. So I like to separate the two things.
I don't know. Maybe. And again, maybe it's because it's been my day job for the last 7 years, to go through this stuff. But man, Roman Reigns standing there berating a reporter for asking legitimate questions just came off very, shall we say, presidential. And it just kind of drove me nuts.
But you can't compare the two things. It's totally different. Rick, you're watching wrestling. It's, it's in their name, entertainment.
I know.
Entertainment. It's not Fox News. It's not CNN. It's two totally different things.
I get it. I understand it. But again, it's hard for me to unplug out of that situation because it is my everyday life. Like, this is like the one night of the week where I get to have fun. And then something like that just kind of triggers me and sends me back to like the last.
But it's wrestling.
I know.
It's wrestling. We have people coming out. How many times haven't you seen a heel come out and, he tells somebody in the audience that they smell and they're horrendous. And there's always that one person, because I've been and worked so many live shows. And there's always that one person that, starts heckling the wrestlers, right? And then it's a heel wrestler, so he starts, being heelish back, and then all of a sudden that person gets butthurt, and you're like, why are you getting upset? Like, first of all, he's a heel. You're watching wrestling. This is part of his character. Calm down.
Right, and that's where it worked too, because for the first time since Roman Reigns kind of changed into this new badass persona that he has, this is the first time that he genuinely got heat out of me, which is what the segment was designed to do.
It worked.
Designed to make me want to hate Roman Reigns and to watch KO come down and kick his butt. And it finally worked. And then they completely reversed course, because then it was cool, awesome Roman Reigns at the end of the night again. And I'm like, gosh darn it, he's just killing it right now. And I love Roman Reigns. And even though I'm supposed to hate him, but doing that, at least to me, they found the trigger for me to hate him for a little bit to open up the show tonight.
And there's also a difference. Like, there's also, a difference in the different types of heels. You have your cool heel, your Stone Cold Steve Austin type of heel, right? But I don't think that's necessarily what Roman Reigns is going for. He's going for a different type of heel. So obviously, we're not always going to be like, oh, that was so cool what he did. Why? It's not going to be cool. Why? Because he is a heel. He is playing the part of a heel, and it's working if it's, triggering something in you.
There's a lot of people in the comments who are really trying to hurt me tonight with speaking of different kind of heels. There's a lot of
Thank you. Different types of heels, okay?
Yeah, I should not have let my disdain for Lars Sullivan's character. I'm not going to attack the man personally, but his character and his booking, I should not have let that as out as public as it was, because y'all love to come in here and just clown me for the Lars Sullivan stuff. I didn't even mention him, and I've seen 3 or 4 comments already. But keep getting them in, guys. We appreciate the 98 or so who are watching, and the 89 who have engaged with us so far or have commented so far. The more engagement we get, the bigger our audience is, and that is great for us. Any closing thoughts on what we saw to Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Kevin Owens tonight? Was made official. It's going to be KO against Roman Reigns at TLC in a TLC match. That should be brutal.
I'm really looking forward to that match. I'm really excited about it. And I don't think I've been this excited about something in a while. So actually, no, that's a lie. I get excited about a lot of stuff, but I just want to make the point come across that I'm excited for this match.
All right. One thing, there was another thing that happened tonight that just made me, I don't know, just.
Did we switch places, Rick? Last week I was all sour, like I didn't like this, I didn't like that, and this week we swapped. We swapped personalities.
We're different people, because there's certain things that just trigger me, and I didn't think a match between Bayley and Natalya would make me mad.
Was it the finish?
It was absolutely, positively the finish, because, and this is no disrespect to Natalya, but in what world does it make sense for Bayley to tap out clean to Natalya in a build to a match with Bianca Belair? And I didn't believe this when Sean Ross at Fightful.com tweeted it out. Bayley's now lost 9 matches in a row. I looked it up. I double checked it. That is now accurate. She's lost 9 matches in a row after her huge run that she had all throughout 2020. How does that help Bianca Belair? I know Bayley has equity, and she's one of the very few main roster stars on the women's side that has that equity built in. She has that resume. So a win over Bayley would still mean something, but wouldn't it mean more to Bianca Belair if Bayley was still riding high and was dominating the rest of the women's division outside of, Sasha Banks and a couple of the matches she lost by disqualification? how does losing to Natalya relatively clean? I know Bayley was focusing on Bianca a lot with her on commentary during the match, but it didn't cost her in the end. It was Natalya out wrestling her to win that matchup. I don't see how that helps in a build between Bayley and Bianca.
Right. So when this first happened and Bayley tapped, I was taken aback. I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. All right. I didn't expect this. And at first, my first opinion was, okay, well, you know what? Natalya has been on here, each and every single week consistently. She's got to get some big wins, and getting a win over Bayley is considered a big win, especially the fact that she's tapping. And, that's part of, if they're going to be using Natalya so much, then they got to also, raise up her value too. And so that's how I saw it. And then I also saw Sean's tweet after that, and I thought, holy moly, like when did I like lose track of the fact that Bayley lost so many matches? Part of me didn't realize how many matches she had been losing. So then I started seeing things differently, and I was like, okay, this is probably not the greatest idea to have her, not basically looking like a top-notch contender. But at the same time, the keywords that you mentioned were equity, and the fact that I couldn't remember and that you didn't remember that she had lost so much probably tells you that maybe it's not as, I don't know, I'm not going to say not as a big deal, because it still is a big deal, but it's still like, and maybe it doesn't take away completely from it, just because of how much Bayley has done and how much of a focal point she was when she was, teaming up with Sasha, and even her, breakup with Sasha, that whole feud. So it's almost like, yeah, those continuous losses do not help, but they also don't necessarily hurt that much. Emphasize that much, because it does hurt, but maybe not as much, just because I don't think a lot of us realized it.
Yeah, I don't know if the finish was an accident or not, but that's what really has me hung up. Like, if Natalya had won the matchup because Bayley was focusing so much on Bianca and there was some kind of a distraction, like I thought when Bianca got off the commentary table, that was going to help kind of provide, some kind of the distraction to allow, Natalya to get the win. And 2 seconds after she walks up, Bayley's tapping in the middle of the ring. Like, I just didn't understand where that was going. And don't get me wrong. Somebody up here, Kishan said that he's glad that Natty won tonight. She hasn't gotten a big win in a while. And yes, that's true. She hasn't. And this isn't a knock on Natalya at all. I love Natalya. I've talked to her before. I've met her. She's fantastic. This is not against Natty at all, but she's not involved in this build. So if Natty was going to win this matchup tonight, I would have had no problem if it was Bianca costing the distraction to get one over on Bayley, and Natalya won with the help of Bianca. But this kind of a clean loss just is mind-boggling. I don't understand the booking philosophy.
Like, it came too quick. It came too quick, and there was no actual, like, oh, this is why she lost. Like, having Bianca in commentary is not necessarily a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the whole first part of the match, she was focused. Like, when she was beating down Natalya, she was, rubbing it in the face of Bianca and everything like that. And that's great. And that's fine. But like, literally 30 seconds after they come back from commercial break, it's the exchange where she goes into the turnbuckle, and then, she throws, or Natty rolls her up. She throws her into the turnbuckle. She tries to give her the knee. Her knee lands on the turnbuckle. Then she gets put in the sharpshooter and she taps out. It was like 45 seconds after coming back from commercial break. I'm sitting here writing a note, and then I look up after I hear the ring bell, and I'm like, what?
Don't you hate when that happens?
What happened?
I hate when that happens.
I had to go back and rewind it, because I'm like, okay, there had to be like a distraction or something or anything. And I'm like, oh, dang, no, she just lost.
That's the worst. What? I hate that when, like, because I have my notes app, I have my Twitter app, and I have, the where I'm watching the show on 3 tabs in one screen. So like, sometimes I resize them all so that I can see everything. But then, like, there's that one time where I'm writing something down or tweeting, and then all of a sudden something happens. I'm like, oh, well, I missed that.
Yeah, that was kind of like AEW on Wednesday. I forget exactly what it was, but I'm in the kitchen doing something while Cody and whoever are getting beat down, and all of a sudden, Sting comes out, and I'm like running out of the kitchen with like whatever the hell I had half made, or this, that, or the other thing. I had just gotten home from wrestling practice, and I'm like, what on God's green earth? I'm rewinding and like doing stuff. But anyway,
to be fair, nobody expected that. Nobody saw it coming. So like, I could just imagine like how many stories there are out there of people that were like, oh shoot, it's Sting.
There have been 2 returns this year that I wish I could have videotaped my reaction, and that was Sting and Edge. I just wish I wish somebody would have had a camera on me, when those happened, because both times I lost my ever-loving mind. And it's not even like Sting's going to wrestle. Like, let's be honest. Dude's 61. He had to retire because of a neck injury. Like, I would be stunned if he ever takes a bump. But it's just really cool seeing him on television again. And not only that, but seeing him on TNT again. It just feels right.
I was just talking about that on the Wrestle Talk podcast, where basically, like, I feel like I've never gotten my reactions at the right point. Like, every time I think something's going to happen, and I'll start recording on my phone, and then all of a sudden there's like nothing happens. So it is kind of unfortunate. And I agree with you. I would have loved to have my reaction of Sting and Edge and, other moments.
Come on, Denise, you're Hollywood Salcedo. Should put a camera on you at all times.
But see,
Shouldn't have your fiance follow you around like one of those Instagram wives?
I should. You know what? You're right. I'm losing out on clicks here without having, a 24/7 cameraman.
Yeah. Mike asking a question here. We did bring this up a little bit earlier, reaction to Pat Patterson passing away. I mean, just like everybody else, man, it was just another one of these things that just piles on to what has been a really, really crappy year. I mean, this is a guy that's had, a lot of influence, on the business. I mean, yes, he was the first ever Intercontinental Champion, but we wouldn't have the Royal Rumble if it wasn't for Pat Patterson. And I think you could see, if you didn't know how beloved this man was, just like not long after the announcement of his passing, like superstars from all generations and all walks, from Ric Flair to Vince McMahon to The Rock to Kevin Owens to Natalya to everybody, was just tweeting out the tributes to him. And yeah, it sucks. It's sad. It's just another pile on what's been a crappy year. And yeah, it's just I thought seeing Gerald Briscoe at the open of the show tonight was a nice touch as well.
Yeah, it was. And what I like is that, obviously, we saw the tribute on NXT, then we saw it again on SmackDown. And I was happy because part of me thought, okay, we're just seeing it on NXT and that's it, right? But the fact that they did it again on SmackDown, and I'm sure they're going to do it, at NXT TakeOver War Games and maybe even Raw, just, hit all those shows. And it's just the fact that they actually been like, weaving in throughout the show, all of these, just showing people's tweets that you just mentioned, just showing the tributes. It's really nice how they've been, sort of handling this. And I think that just goes to show the amount of respect and the amount of impact that he had, not just in WWE, but in wrestling in general.
Yeah. Ozzy, bookmark this. Trust me, we're going to get to this one coming up here in a little bit. So just hang tight. Remind me to bring that back up later. But I want to roll now into the 6-man tag match that was booked in honor of Pat Patterson tonight. At first, I'm like, they booked this as the Intercontinental Championship like memorial match. And I'm like, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense. And then they open the show and say, well, all these guys were either former or the current Intercontinental Champion. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because in my mind, I thought it would have been, cool to have like an actual Intercontinental Championship match tonight and maybe have that be the main event, and then maybe have Sami Zayn win the match because he and Pat were, close in real life. I thought that would have been cool. But at the same time, getting all 6 of these former champions in the ring at the same time and putting on a really, really good 6-man tag team match, what was a nice touch as well.
Yeah, and what is there to say? I mean, there's, like you said, there's so much talent in the ring, and it was a fun match. And I think, even like the finish and how everything rolled out, I thought, from top to bottom, they did a nice, solid thing. And it was something extra that they did, besides the, the obvious 10-bell salute and, the video montage. It was something a little extra, which I thought was really nice.
You know what this felt like? This felt like a really fun house show main event. Like, have you ever been? Have you ever been to one of those? If you haven't been, it's very cookie cutter what they do with these, but they always send the fans home happy. The good guys usually win, and usually it's everybody kicking the crap out of the bad guy at the end of the match and just putting a little extra stank on it. And that's what it felt like what they did with Dolph Ziggler there, where Ziggler thought he was outsmarting everybody, and then all of a sudden he's getting all the heels, all the baby faces finishers, and even that goofy fall that he did into the 619. I mean, that's kind of the stuff you don't typically see on an actual televised event. It definitely felt more like just like a fun house show atmosphere type, and that's not an insult, by the way.
No, I actually think that's a really good comparison, because it hits those 3 elements, and one of them that you mentioned was the okay, so like the first one is having the star power. Like you have so many people in there that you're like, oh, I want to mark out for this person. I want to cheer for this person. So you get to see them. Okay, A. The second one is like, okay, put on this fun match where you do like a bunch of cool moves. Everybody gets their moment to shine. And then the third, you know, have this good, feel good ending to it. And yeah, I think that those are the things that, you know, people enjoy. It was simple. It wasn't completely, you know, overthought, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I don't think this matchup would have been set if it wasn't obviously for the passing of Pat Patterson. But I have to think, does this have any kind of ramifications on the Intercontinental title scene at all? Was this just a memorial match with a house show feel, and it's going to be completely separate from any of the storylines involving the Intercontinental Championship, or did the finish mean something? Because last week it looked like they were setting up Sami Zayn versus Big E, which we'll get to Big E's entrance here in a minute. But now they have Daniel Bryan pick up the win over Sami Zayn tonight. And I actually didn't mind the finish because I thought they were going to do the mistake twice, like they did with Bayley, having her tap out. I thought they were going to have Sami Zayn tap out. I'm so glad that they didn't. It made him look a lot better to get beat with the Pat Patterson-esque, schoolboy roll up at the end. So I thought that was a nice little touch if you're going to have Sammy lose and maybe set up a match with Daniel Bryan. But you got Daniel Bryan in this mix now. You got Big E in the mix now. I mean, are those the next two, or do we think possibly we could even see at TLC, a multi-person match? Maybe even the 6 people involved in this matchup tonight, maybe sans Dolph Ziggler because he's also in the tag team title, but maybe a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship at TLC. That would be a good way to test Sammy's mettle here a little bit.
Dude, it's TLC, so like the more the merrier.
Right?
Yeah.
I know he just had a brutal ladder match like 2 or 3 months ago, but it would be fun. I mean, the TLC card is already so stacked. It would screw it. Just load it up as much as possible.
It's the end of the year, and just end it with a bang. Right?
Like I felt like remember last year's TLC where like none of the main championships were on the line at all.
You know what's sad is that last year's TLC didn't really feel that impactful. Or like, am I wrong there? Like, am I wrong?
No, it didn't, because
what do you really remember from that show?
Kairi Sane's injury. Like that's
that's not good. That's not the greatest thing to remember from a show.
I was genuinely looking forward to the main event. The main event last year was the Kabuki Warriors, who were the tag team champions, putting the titles on the line against Becky and Charlotte. I know a lot of people didn't like that particular matchup because they thought Becky should have been defending the Raw Women's Championship, and I agree. But at least that made sense from a storyline standpoint of trying to shoehorn Charlotte and Becky together and forcing them to butt heads. And I liked the story that was involved there, and I thought it was really cool that was the main event last year. But that was it. Like, I can't remember any. I think one of the other tag team titles were on the line, but I don't think
the Viking Raiders.
Yeah, I don't think the Intercontinental title was on the line. I don't think the U.S. title was on the line. Like, there were no singles championships that were on the line on TLC last year, if my memory serves correct. So yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot that stood out to me from last year's event. At least this year, it looks like they're loading it up with some really, really good fights.
And they need to do that, because the last thing you want to do is like not remember anything major that happened on the show. Okay, so let me see. I'm looking at this. They had New Day defeat the Revival. God, when the Revival was still there.
Oh man, yeah.
Aleister Black defeated Buddy Murphy, so they were in a singles match. And then it was Viking Raiders versus the OC, again, another tag team that's not there. King Corbin defeated Roman Reigns. Bray Wyatt defeated The Miz. Bobby Lashley was the thing already. Defeated Rusev. And then the main event, which you just mentioned, Kabuki Warriors, Becky and Charlotte.
Oh my God. Roman Reigns versus King Corbin. Was that the dog food? That was the dog food.
Oh, yeah.
How much does a year make? How much difference does a year make? We had Roman Reigns at this time last year being covered in dog food, and now we have the greatest incarnation of Roman Reigns ever.
And the wedding thing with Bobby Lashley and Lana was a thing at that point. Like, crazy. Like, I feel like, I don't know, my time frame's like all messed up.
Like, I know a lot of people like to complain about booking, and there's a lot, that happens with WWE today where it makes you angry, and I get it. But Look at where it was last year.
So look at this. This is crazy. So like the New Day, the New Day's essentially broken up. The Revival is gone. The Viking Raiders, their injury bug. The OC gone. Kabuki Warriors, Kairi Sane, they're broken up. All of that. And isn't it crazy? Like none of these tag teams are really like still up and running.
Yeah, no, that was an epidemic this year. Was tag teams getting split for either, unforeseen circumstances or reasons that WWE has yet to explain. Like, I still don't know why the Iconics aren't together. Seriously. Why did you split up the Iconics?
Hey, did you see Adam Pearce's a tweet?
Yeah, it was so great for them to follow that up on SmackDown tonight.
They didn't. You're right.
No, they didn't.
I quote retweeted him and he gave me a like because I put do it. And I was like, oh, this is a confirmation. They're gonna do it. Well, we don't know.
Yeah, we have no clue. Didn't see her tonight. Didn't see Adam Pearce tonight. Didn't see Liv Morgan yet either. Which also really kind of ticked me off. And Mike brought this up that I get a chance to watch, Live Forever over the weekend. I did. And it honestly, it made me mad.
I heard it made a lot of people mad. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna.
Do it. It's great. I love Liv Morgan. I think she's insanely talented. I've written about her several times this year about the potential she has to be a main event superstar if they would just let her freaking do it. And they give her, I thought they booked her incredibly well at Survivor Series. Same with Peyton Royce, to be honest. They booked both of them incredibly well. Neither one of them have been on television since that pay-per-view. And again, it goes to one of the bigger problems right now, which is what is your secondary division for the women's division? It's the tag division.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Yeah, it's the tag division. Because if you're not fighting for one of the top two singles championships, your secondary title is the women's tag team titles. And they have literally broken up all the teams that have carried that division for years now. The only team that's really stuck through it since the women's tag division became a legitimate thing is Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. And they're still around. Well, about 9:15 tonight, I'm looking and I'm like, God, I really hope we get Liv and Ruby. And then I'm sitting here and I'm going, there's nobody left on the roster for them to fight. So they're not going to be on this show. They have nobody left. Like all they could have done was given us one of them against Billie Kay. Like that's it. And which I'm sitting here, I'm going, so why do you have one women's tag team on the Blue brand? That doesn't make any sense. And then you look over on Raw and the women's tag team champions who could float on any of the shows, could be involved with any of the tag teams in NXT, could be involved with the Riot Squad over on SmackDown. No, they're entrenched in a storyline with Asuka, who isn't defending her Raw Women's Championship. So for the second year in a row at TLC, you have your Raw Women's Champion going after the tag team titles. Why? Like at least Becky and Charlotte made sense. Asuka and Lana? That makes no sense whatsoever. So you know what they're going to do? They're going to pull the freaking trigger and they're going to end up winning the damn match.
Yeah, the only reason why this bothers me is because it devalues the women's title and it should not be like that. Should be the title that, all the women are like, I have my eye on that. I want it.
Yeah, I have no problem. Like this isn't a Lana thing, for anybody who
right.
This is Lana is the only thing that makes sense in this storyline because she is trying to finally prove herself to these women who have been dogging her for her entire career. So I'm rooting for Lana. But if you're going to do this angle and just shoehorn her with a random tag team partner, why did you split up her and Natalya earlier this year? They had a thing going and then you just cut bait with that. So it could be Lana and Natalya. You could have spent months building them up as a tag team to face off with Nia and Shayna at TLC. Instead of shoehorning, it's like they don't want to put anybody up against Asuka because they're probably just waiting for Charlotte to come back so they can hotshot her the Raw Women's Championship, which sucks for Asuka because she's going to lose again to Charlotte. But yeah, now you got Asuka waiting in limbo until that happens, and it's just weird the way that they're putting all of their eggs into one basket on Raw and hindering the other talent, whether it be on NXT or SmackDown with Liv and Ruby. It just doesn't make sense what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and I think, we've seen that play out, and I think we're going to keep seeing it play out where, one person suffers for the rise of another person when multiple people can be rising at the same time.
Exactly. It's like they just, I don't know if they don't have enough writers or if they don't have enough decision makers at the top who can just focus on more than I don't know, five people at one time. I don't know. It seems like if you're at the top of the card, you know you're going to get your booking and your storylines are going to be finished throughout. And if you're somebody who's trying to rise up the ranks like a Liv Morgan or even a Big E, who finally got his first in-ring action since being split from the New Day and drafted to SmackDown tonight.
Oh, we haven't even talked about his theme.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to bring that up. What do we think? Do we like Big E's music or nah? Make sure you guys to comment in that as well.
See, for me, my answer is it always takes me a while to get used to things. So my first instinct is no, because I'm not used to it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like it, right? It's just I'm not used to it. I gotta wait. It's gotta, kick into my brain. I gotta start recognizing a little bit more. And once I do, then you know what? I'll make up my mind then onto whether or not I like it. It takes me a while. I'm a very slow processor of whether or not I like a song.
Got it. You're a slow process. See, my initial reaction was I don't hate it, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact, and this is probably a hot take. I hate the New Day song. Like
really, but yeah. It's like a I don't know, like a very known popular song.
I know it's beloved, and I've got friends who give me crap for this. I don't like it. I don't like the New Day song at all. So when Big E came out to a different tune, I'm like, all right, let's go.
I don't blame you too hard.
I don't have to do the clap stuff. I don't have to do any of that. I did like that they brought back the it's a new theme but old entrance. So I did like that they brought back the chalk and he's doing the LeBron and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's unique. Bring it back.
If he's going to be on his own, they're giving him his own identity a little bit. Still had the New Day, gear on. Maybe he's
colors,
new gear or what have you, but I still want to keep them, tying in tonight. Like I think Michael Cole said something about formerly with the New Day, and I'm like, no.
Like we all know that. You don't need to tell us.
But here's the thing: he's still with the New Day. Like the New Day didn't break up; they were split up. It's different. He's still a New Day member. Okay, he's just not currently with them on the same brand. So I don't like that saying he's a former member of the New Day. They're just not on the same brand right now. They will be again one day. I guarantee you the New Day will be reunited one day.
Well, they were just reunited when of the last pay-per-view.
Yeah, they just had an entrance together. Like in the battle for brand supremacy or the best or whatever they called it, Big E for SmackDown was walking down.
Like nobody remembered these cool costumes and the fact that they were going to wear them in like 2-3 weeks from or however many weeks from the draft until then.
Yeah.
Nobody remembered like, hey, we got this like cool stuff coming up, this like video game promo that they all got to do.
Yeah. Hang on. Whoop, wrong one. Paul, I would hope this is the case. Otherwise this would just be, a really awkward show to do. But Denise, are you used to me yet?
I don't know, Rick. Am I used to you yet? How many shows have we had?
I don't know. It's been like 2-3 months now. Time flies when you're having fun, Denise.
I'll give you like a 4-star rating right now. You're at a 4 stars.
Is that out of 5 or 10?
Out of 5. Oh, that's not bad. You're almost there.
Yeah.
You're almost 5-star, Rick. Don't worry. You'll get there.
I'm acceptable, and I'll take it.
You know what? I'm going to dock you a star for that. You got to go to 2 stars now. You got to dock the star. Because I think 3 is acceptable.
Paul, no Street Profits. There were the Street Profits tonight. Street Profits were on the show. They had that backstage promo, which I get it. Sometimes you got to take a bathroom break and you miss some things. They did have the backstage promo talking about Roman Reigns, and then they were approached by Cesaro and Robert Roode talking about representing their tag team, saying they all want a shot. They all want the smoke, as they say. So we'll see where that goes from there. Of course, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler did get a win over the Street Profits last week. So that's going to be interesting to see who ends up getting the next tag team title shot. And Denise, something that did happen tonight that I actually really, really liked. I know I've complained a lot about this show, but there was one thing that I really liked tonight, and it, believe it or not, came out of the King Corbin.
I knew it was going to be that. Every time Corbin comes out, I think of you now. I'm like, oh, Rick's liking this.
There's only like 5 of us out there, right? The 5 of us that appreciate King Corbin's talent and see his potential. There's only 5 of us out there, and King Corbin is among them.
You should be happy though, because now every time I see Corbin and Lars Sullivan, I think about you, and that's time that you're in my brain, and that's really nice.
All right. Well, I'm glad that's really nice for you. Probably every time you order tacos too, right?
Yeah, that too. I think of you then. When else do I think? There's several times where I'm like, oh, this thing triggers Rick Ucchino in my head.
Hey, for the record, that still only happened to me one time. There's only one time in my life that I've ever ordered tacos and didn't get meat, which is ridiculous and will live with me forever. But just I still can't. How do you do that? I still can't believe that happened. But no, I did
so bad for you when I saw that, and I think I had tacos either that day or like the day after, and I was like, I cracked a joke about you to my fiance. We were in the car, and I was like, "Ha ha, we got meat. Rick did it. Ha ha ha."
But you went to the store. I door dashed, and that was my problem. I could have had the DoorDash driver who stole my meat. I don't know, because I don't know how something like that happens.
Did you get your money back, by the way?
I did get a refund. Okay. Yeah. So that's fine. But still, the pain and anguish. I should get punitive damages for that. Like I should get double my money back. It's that ridiculous.
Like a share in the company or something.
Yeah, exactly. I can't, obviously for those of you who are listening, like this happened months ago. I'm still scarred. I'm still 100% scarred from this. But anywho, getting back to King Corbin here. He said last week that he was going to be prepared for his match with Murphy tonight because he knew the Mysterio family was going to be there. And then all of a sudden he comes down with these two cloaked dudes who looked like, I don't know, random, NXT Performance Center guys that they just plucked to say, okay, well, here's King Corbin's muscle for a time being. And then all of a sudden you look at him and you go, wait a minute. These two dudes kind of look familiar. And it turns out it's God, I can't even remember their names now. It's
Steve Cutler, Wesley Blake.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, someone remembered the Forgotten Sons. Just sans the guy that
wait, was it a joke?
Trouble. What?
Wait, were you making a joke right now?
No, it was just a pun. It wasn't.
I thought it was a whole skit because you said, "Oh, I forgot," and then you said, "Oh, somebody remembered the Forgotten Son." So I thought I ruined your skit. I thought it was planned.
No, I'm just naturally punny. So.
No, okay, you could have completely played that off as like a planned thing.
No, see, it makes me look so much better that it flowed naturally. That's what it is. But anywho, so he now has brought Wesley Blake and Cutler into the mix now to even the odds. And this is something that I think has a lot of potential because even I'll agree, King Corbin has been incredibly stale for about a year now. Like the fact that he is still going by King Corbin. The fact
I'm so shocked.
The fact that he's still going by King Corbin is just ridiculous to me. King of the Ring was more than 18 months ago. Like there needs to be like an expiration date on being able to call yourself the King. Let's cut that. But this feels almost like a fresh start for him and obviously for both, Blake and Cutler. After everything that happened with Jack,
they were affected by, not necessarily their direct actions.
Right. And they were taken off TV for a long time, and now they're back. This could be really interesting. I like the idea of a King Corbin stable and what this could mean for him as they help him rack up wins, like we saw against Buddy Murphy tonight. But also, this has a bit of history here because Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy are former NXT Tag Team Champions. Ooh. There's a little bit of history going on right here, so it makes sense for Corbin to bring in a guy like Wesley Blake. So I really like this angle tonight. I'm interested to see where this is going to go. Maybe even a 6-man tag match at TLC.
Yeah. I think, again, I'm happy for them that they're back because, again, they weren't the people that were necessarily, they didn't go out there and say something. We don't know what their personal beliefs are, but
damage is
right. Exactly. So it kind of does suck that happened to them, especially because they were gone for quite some time. I mean, I don't know exactly the time frame, but they were gone for a while. And so I do agree with you that this is a refreshing new start for Baron Corbin. Like you said, he was, the King thing it only goes so far. It only has so much, mileage. So you got to really, freshen it up. And the only thing that I don't like is the whole come in black hooded. Like, can you just have them come out and be like, oh my God, they're back or something? I don't know, premiere a new T-shirt. Something, but don't have them come out with the black hood and the black jacket. Like, who comes out like that? You're on national television. You're going to be seen either way. Dang.
Yeah, they were clean shaven. They had the black hoods on. I don't know if it was they were trying to trick us at first, or if this was that WWE thing like they did with Retribution, where it's like, oh, these guys are coming down, but it's not Cutler and Blake. Like it's not, forget that those guys existed, which a lot of people already had at this point. But like,
Yeah.
Forget that they ever had these names or ever had these personas. Like they completely ignore the fact that Reckoning is Mia Yim, right? Like even when her mask came off on Raw, like nobody made the comment that this is Mia Yim, even though we know it's Mia Yim. So I was almost thinking that's where they were going, you know, with Blake and Cutler. And then they come back from commercial break and Corey Graves actually addresses it and then says formerly of the Forgotten Sons. So that means that trio is no more, and that these two guys are now either on their own or they're going to be with King Corbin from now on. But yeah, that was kind of weird at the beginning. It was almost like they were intentionally trying to put mystery around it, to try to bring you in, to get your attention on them. Like, who are these guys, and really kind of focus on that. But the only problem is the only thing anybody was focusing on this entire match was Dominic's shirt. That was the only thing that had anybody's attention through this entire match.
He's a fashionable boy.
It takes a lot of stones to wear something that vibrant. I mean, that's just,
what's wrong with color?
There's something wrong with that color. Like I don't, man, who let him walk out there like that? That's all I gotta say. I mean, it did have like some Rock vibes. It was that up turtleneck with the gold chain, and I think he was wearing black pants. I don't know, but just what do you call that? Fuchsia?
Fuchsia, probably, yeah.
I mean, wow. That's a fashion choice. Denise, would you rock something like that?
Yeah, I like very like bold type of stuff. Like I like stuff that are out there.
As you wear black tonight.
Yeah, as I wear black, actually wear black all the time. I go like boring black turtleneck. I love turtlenecks. Like I'm a big turtleneck fan. Like I cannot stress this enough. Like if it was, I have like 4 of these exact same turtlenecks. Believe it or not, this is the different turtleneck. 2 days ago, I wore a turtleneck that looks just like this, but they're 2 different ones.
Yeah, I still wear the same stuff I had on in high school. Rob Dominic was just speaking.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's too good. Oh, that is just absolutely too good. Okay, hang on. We got like 7 minutes left, and I don't think we've talked about Sasha Banks and Carmella and their exchange tonight. I believe that's the last big thing that happened on the show. They separated these two ladies. We had the Zoom meeting tonight because they didn't want things to get physical between them. And you know what? I actually thought this was a pretty good exchange. I was hoping to see something a little bit more out of Carmella, like at least some kind of reasoning, some kind of rationale, some kind of character development for this new Carmella that we've been seeing. And I thought we saw that tonight. I think she made some actually good points that worked in a storyline sense. The fact that, yeah, Sasha has worked so damn hard her entire life to get to where she is, and Carmella has just been moonwalking her way through WWE and been having success. And, you know, her title reign is longer than all of Sasha's combined. I thought those are some really good digs. And even at the beginning where she called out, it was almost like a shot at WWE creative. Like, yeah, okay, we get it. You're the boss. You're the trendsetter. The same stuff you say week in and week out, because Sasha has been dogged with these generic promos that they've been giving her. So even Carmella calling that out at the beginning, I thought was a really, really good shout.
You know what my favorite part of that actually was in the beginning when they were prepping them, just the scene of them being prepped, because the way that they were both acting differently towards the guy that was miking them up. Like Carmella was like, oh, like looking at him like she was so flattered. Like, you know, you can tell that she was flirting and being coy. And then Sasha Banks was just like, you know, all right, cool. Mic me up. Yep. Great. Wonderful. Good day. And I liked like those 2 little subtle differences. I thought added a lot of what the theme of those 2 promos and the different perspectives that they were both going to bring into this promo. So it was that one little thing that they did where they didn't even have to say anything. That was actually my favorite part of this. And, you know, I it was fine. Like I wasn't crazy about this just because to me, like there's only so much depth that you can do there. So I just felt that it could have been like, it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
I thought if I had a favorite part of this, I think it would have been Sasha bringing up Carmella's past of always needing help, and then didn't even say Ellsworth's name, just said that dude without a chin. And then it was R-Truth. And Mella just quickly snaps back. She's like, I can't help it if guys are falling at my feet or whatever like that. I thought that was a really, really nice touch. That's something that kind of character should have. That big head is like, you know what? If I'm gonna have dudes falling at my feet, I'm gonna use it to my advantage. And I think I almost think now like this character needs that kind of support more than anybody. Like I hated Ellsworth with Carmella back then. Like I don't know why
I wasn't a fan of it either.
I wasn't a fan of it. Like it was like, even if it was Ellsworth like trying to get with Carmella, that made sense. But even they didn't even play that angle with it. And then her and R-Truth were just buddies. Now
they were so much fun. I've always liked their chemistry.
I loved it. I missed the dance break. I really, really do. That was like my favorite 10 seconds of every show. And especially when they got Vince McMahon in the ring to do it. What was it, Raw 1000 or whatever it was? That was really fun. Did
you ever watch the R-Truth game show with Carmella? Or did you ever watch the R-Truth game show? Oh my God, I watched all the episodes of that, and one of them was with Carmella, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, the only episode of the R-Truth game show that I watched was the one with Roman Reigns, and that was when I first noticed his teeth, because it was the phone was like right up here at the downward angle, and I'm just like, why is the screen that Roman is on just like blinding me right now? And then I noticed the veneers, and I'm like, oh dang, dude got some work done. Okay, that's what it is. That's gonna take some getting used to. Thankfully, by now, I think we're all used to the teeth. Yeah,
dude, they're freaking perfect.
I know,
they're perfect. I want those teeth.
My God, if I had money to get these things taken care of, God, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I should, now that I'm on TV more. I didn't care when I was a radio guy, but now like I'm still a radio guy, but now that I'm on TV more often, I got to start looking pretty. I'm trying to drop weight and stuff. I actually shaved this week. Like I'm trying. I'm putting in an effort.
Got to get that foundation, that powder, blush up those cheeks, put a little gloss in there.
Look how white I am. I really do need to put some powder on.
Well, it's sure. TV. Like in TV, like people are not going to judge you. Do what you want. Put whatever you want on your face. It's your face.
I think I do. Cause like you get this light coming. Like I dimmed the light tonight just because I was tired of looking like a sheet anytime I was on the screen. So yeah, I think I need to either go to a tanning bed, which the last time I did that didn't work out too well. I was there for 5 minutes and came out looking like a lobster.
I've never done a tanning bed, but I don't tan. So
yeah. Me and my wife did it before we went on our honeymoon, thinking we should do prep before we go out to the beach.
Well, when you tan, you look 20 pounds thinner. Did you know that?
Oh, then I definitely need to do it.
Yeah, it's like a thing. It's like it's all over the fashion magazines. You tan, you automatically look 20 pounds thinner.
Maybe That's why
people tan.
Maybe I should just do that that Paul Heyman fake tan. Maybe I should just give that a shot. Maybe that'll work. Maybe
I don't know what kind of tan you need to get, but apparently, hey, it might work.
There we go. Here's a great idea. I'll just put on Sting's makeup. I don't want to steal Jeremy Lambert's
he did everything. He did what he did, like a paper, the makeup, the mask. Yeah, was all set up.
He did it all. I forget even which. I know it was something for Fightful, but yeah,
it was the Halloween stream.
Yeah, Halloween stream. But anywho, going back to what we were talking about, I think having that kind of lapdog character, I don't know who it could be. I feel like this is something that they would give to Chad Gable, but just like that like lapdog character that would just go around and do whatever Carmella asked, and then you could have him on commentary, and he and Corey Graves could have awkward conversations. Like I think it would just be that would be money.
I didn't even think about that at all.
Right, exactly. Like that was one of the things that I always laughed about is when like Carmella and Mandy were on the same show, and like. He's dating Carmella, but then, every time Mandy comes down, he's like drooling all over her. I'm like, come on, Corey. What are you doing here, guy? Like
that's funny.
That's the real reason why they split him up and put him on different brands right there. All right, Denise, any final comments, concerns, any jokes, anything we didn't go over that you want to get through before we wrap up here?
I would say overall thumbs up for tonight's SmackDown. And I thought it followed through and was an improvement on the past few weeks.
It was an improvement. They're definitely building to what I think is going to be a really, really good TLC card. I'm really excited about this program just for Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens by themselves, that's going to be, a great matchup. And it looks like we're going to get Sasha and Carmella, maybe even Bayley and Bianca. Hopefully that actually means something. Maybe Bayley will win a match next week. That would be good to see. But yeah, I thought overall the show was entertaining. Again, there were some things that rubbed me the wrong way, but hey, not everything is perfect. I will break it all down in my good, bad, and the ugly SmackDown video that will be coming out on the YouTube tomorrow, the SK Wrestling YouTube channel. Up there right now, though, parts 1 and 2 of my conversation with Montez Ford. So make sure to go check those out. And Denise, where can they find your interviews with Titus O'Neil and Shotzi Blackheart?
Please go over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. All you have to do is type in my name on the YouTube search bar and you will see it. You will see all my videos. Come in there. And then Twitter and Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. I'm very active, so come on there.
Yep. And I am nipping at the heels of Denise on Twitter. I'm trying to catch up to her. I picked up like 8 followers this week, so I'm up to 1640. Denise is at like 11,500. So make sure to follow me at Rick Ucchino. Denise,
actually, I'm at 11,600, but Twitter always takes like an extra day to like update that information.
Just had to dig that in and twist.
It's in your analytics. You can check your analytics.
Cool. Yeah, if I could just get like 10% of your audience, I think that would be absolutely spectacular. But whatever. I appreciate all 1640 that I have. Y'all are the greatest. All right. So we'll be back next Friday. Well, maybe we're on baby watch. So Denise will be back next Friday. I might be back next Friday. Who knows? Tune in and find out. You've been watching Smack Talk on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Have a great weekend, everybody.